Right, let's just be clear on one thing. When you order onion bhajis, you want this. Don't you just hate when you order onion bhajis and it comes out like a cakey, soft grease sponge? I know I do, and I'm not having it anymore, so here's a recipe. Start by peeling your onions and then remove the root, and then we're just going to slice these. Don't be afraid to leave these a little thick here, otherwise they'll burn when you fry them. Once they're all sliced, just throw them into a large bowl. Now moving on to the garlic, you're just going to crush and peel 2 cloves, and now just roughly chop it over a couple of times, but instead of spending ages cutting this into a very fine dice, we're going to use a different technique here. So once you've chopped it into largest chunks, just use the side of a knife and squash and drag it against the chopping board, and this is going to puree it. Some people will tell you to use rock salt for this, but it's really not needed and it will just scratch up the side of your knife. Anyway, add that to the onions, and then your coriander, chili powder, ground cumin, curry powder, ground ginger, and then your flour, as well as your cornflour, which I've also sieved with my salt. And now just chop up your coriander roughly as you like. Now give that all a really good mix until it's all really well coated with all of your spices, and then we're just going to try and form a ball. It's important here you don't press too hard, otherwise you'll end up with a dense onion bhaji. Just press enough to form it into a ball. And if it falls apart like this one, you need to add just a little bit more of your flour and water. So I'm just going to add another tablespoon of flour and another tablespoon of water, and we'll give that a good mix, and we'll try and form another ball. Just make sure you add any excess flour and water a little at a time, otherwise we'll end up with those horrible onion cakes. As you can see here, I've just formed a ball and it holds together quite well when I move it between one hand and the other, so we're about ready to cook. So you want to heat some oil up to about 175 degrees, however I'm going to take mine up to about 185, as when I put these in I know the oil's going to cool down quite a lot because I'm using this pan of oil rather than a conventional deep fat fryer. Anyway, once your oil's up to temperature, you're going to start forming these into loose balls. Again, it's important not to press these together too hard, and you're going to drop these in carefully one at a time, and we'll cook these in small batches to make sure we don't cool that oil down too much. After they've turned golden brown on one side, this should take about 4 to 5 minutes. You're going to turn them over and cook them for a further 4 to 5 minutes on the other side, or until they're fully golden brown. Once they're fully golden brown and crispy, you want to take them out one at a time and just let the excess oil drain out into the pan, and then place them on some kitchen paper towel for 2 minutes before you eat them to allow that excess oil to drain. And now we can go ahead and cook another batch until all of your mixture is used up. It's worth noting here that you want to keep an eye on the oil temperature, because otherwise it could cool down too much and these can become quite greasy if you cook them at too low of a temperature. That's all I've got for you this week, so if you like this kind of thing, please drop me a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next week. And for those of you that aren't planning on making this recipe, maybe this will persuade you otherwise.